we're going to talk about heroes and villains. But not just any heroes and villains. We're talking about the ones we see in pop culture. And more specifically, why it feels like villains are becoming way more relatable than heroes these days. Think back to the classic heroes. We're talking Superman, right? The guy who could do no wrong, always did the right thing, always saved the day, always smiled for the cameras. He was the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way. Or Captain America, Steve Rogers, pure, unwavering, a man out of time, but still clinging to his moral compass like a life raft. P was the ultimate good guy, a beacon of hope. And the villains back then, they were often pretty straightforward too. Lex Luthor, the evil genius with a complex. Sure, but ultimately driven by pure malice and a desire for power. For the Joker, a force of chaos with no discernible motive beyond sowing anarchy. They were bad because they were bad. Simple, right? But then, something started to shift. It wasn't a sudden flip of a switch, more like a slow, gradual evolution. And I think we can see it really clearly when we look at what's coming out now, especially from massive franchises like Marvel and DC. Let's take Marvel. Characters like Tony Stark, Iron Man. He was a hero, absolutely, but he wasn't perfect. He was arrogant. He made mistakes. He struggled with his past. Remember Iron Man 2? He's dealing with the consequences of his ego and his technology. He's flawed. And that relatability is what made us connect with him on a deeper level. Even in his heroism, there was a human messiness. Then you look at someone like Thanos. In the MCU, he wasn't just some purple guy who wanted to destroy planets for the sake of it. He genuinely believed he was doing the right thing. He saw a problem. Overpopulation, resource scarcity. And he devised a solution, albeit a horrifying one. He presented his argument. He had his rationale. He was driven by a warped sense of purpose. And that, in a really twisted way, makes him understandable. We might not agree with him, not even a little bit. But we can kind of follow his thought process. He's not just evil, he's misguidedly righteous. Now, compare that to someone like Captain America in the modern era. While still a hero, the MCU has explored his struggles with a changing world. His disillusionment with the systems he fought for. Think about Captain America, the Winter Soldier. He's battling against corruption within the very government he swore to protect. He's still a good guy, but his path is much more morally gray. He has to make difficult choices, and sometimes those choices have unintended consequences. And it's not just the big guys. Look at Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, in WandaVision. She's a grieving woman who creates an entire reality to cope with her pain. Is she a hero? Is she a villain? She's both. She's a victim of circumstance and trauma, and her actions, while deeply harmful to others, stem from an incredibly understandable human emotion. Loss. We feel for her. Even when she's doing things we know are wrong. DC's done it too. The Joker. Again, Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal in Joker is a masterclass in this. He's not a cackling suit villain. He's Arthur Fleck, a mentally ill man failed by society, driven to madness by neglect and abuse. His descent into chaos he's a product of his environment. And it makes you question who the real villains are in that story. Is it him or the system that broke him? This shift isn't just about making villains cool. It's about exploring the complexities of human nature. We live in a world that often feels complicated and unfair. Our heroes, the ones who are supposed to represent the idealized versions of ourselves, can sometimes feel a bit out of touch. If a hero is always perfectly moral, always knows the right thing to do, and never stumbles, can we really connect with that? It can feel idealistic, almost unattainable. Villains, on the other hand, often embody the darker, more chaotic aspects of ourselves that we try to suppress. They act on impulses, on anger, on resentment, on a desire for control that many of us might recognize, even if we'd never act on it. When a villain is motivated by a relatable pain, a perceived injustice, or even a twisted sense of love, we can understand their motivations. We might even sympathize with them on some level. Think about Killmonger in Black Panther. He's an antagonist, no doubt. His methods are violent and extreme, but his motivations are rooted in centuries of oppression and systemic injustice against his people. He's fighting for recognition, for justice, for a better future for Wakanda, even if his vision is a destructive one. Many viewers found themselves agreeing with his critique of Wakanda's isolationism, even if they rejected his approach. He was a villain with a point. This trend makes for more compelling storytelling. When the lines between good and evil are blurred, the stakes feel higher, and the characters are more layered. It forces us to think, to question our own black and white notions of morality. It's no longer just about a hero punching a bad guy. It's about exploring the gray areas, the internal conflicts, and the societal forces that shape individuals. So, why are villains more relatable now? Because modern storytelling has embraced complexity. It's acknowledged that heroes aren't always perfect beacons of light, and villains aren't always pure embodiments of evil. They're often people, or beings, who are driven by understandable, if misguided, motivations. They reflect the messiness and contradictions of the world we live in, and in that reflection, we find a piece of ourselves, making them, perhaps, more human, and therefore, more relatable. It's a fascinating evolution, and I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. Who do you think are some of the most relatable villains or heroes in recent pop culture? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, and subscribe for more discussions like this. Thanks for watching.